Ms. Houlahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I've been looking forward very much to our time together. My name is Chrissy Houlahan. In addition to representing a part of Pennsylvania, the 6th District, I also am a veteran. I come from a family of veterans and service members, and it's very deeply personal to me, this conversation that we're having, as I know it is to you as well. Over the last several days, I've had the opportunity to watch a bit of the hearings that you have testified at this week, and I can see and know that you have quite a bit to say. But since I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to try and focus my time on a concept that you talk about very frequently, and that is lethality. By definition, lethality simply means being capable of causing death. Secretary Hegseth, I have a couple of clarifying questions that I'd like very much to get through. So in the interest of time and efficiency, I would ask just simply for a yes or no from you for the answers to these questions in advance, and I thank you. So given that definition of lethality, would it be fair to say that both men and women are, generally speaking, capable of causing death?
Congresswoman Chrissy Houlahan's confrontation with Secretary Hegseth over his sexist remarks about women in the military went far beyond a simple policy clash. It was a pointed rebuke grounded in personal experience and generational service. As both a veteran herself and the daughter of veterans, Houlahan spoke with credibility and moral authority, dismantling Hegseth's outdated narrative that women somehow weaken the armed forces. She insisted that those who meet the same rigorous standards, regardless of gender, deserve equal recognition and opportunity. By reframing the issue not as political correctness, but as a matter of fairness and respect, Houlahan underscored that equality in uniform is not symbolic. It is fundamental to the strength and legitimacy of America's military. In contrast, Hegseth's dismissal of women's capabilities only revealed the gap between his rhetoric and the reality of modern service.
It depends.
Yes or no, sir?
Depends on the context.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Are men and women capable of causing death?
It depends on the context.
Yes or no?
It depends on the context.
It's unbelievable to me that you can't come up with an answer whether or not a man or a woman can cause death. That's an obvious yes. Would it be fair to say that the U.S. military trains our soldiers in multiple ways to be capable of causing death, whether they are men or women?
That's a big part of our job.
Yes. Would it be fair to say that both men and women are capable of pulling a trigger of a rifle to cause death? Yes or no?
Sure.
And would it be fair to say that both men and women are capable of operating an unmanned combat drone or maybe pushing a button to launch a missile to cause death again? Yes or no?
Secretary Hegseth's hedging on whether men and women in the military are equally capable of lethal force exposed to bias at the core of his worldview. He treated the question as though women's combat ability required extra qualification, while men's did not. But the reality is simple. The U.S. military trains every service member, regardless of gender, to use lethal force when necessary, and women have repeatedly proven themselves in combat. By framing equality as complicated, Hegseth reinforced the outdated stereotype that women's service is conditional or secondary. This is not a matter of semantics. It is a question of whether America's defense leaders truly respect the sacrifices of all who serve. His hesitation revealed how deeply old notions of gender still shape debates over readiness, even as the battlefield has already rendered those notions obsolete.
I know what you're getting at, ma'am.
Yes?
But it is
So lastly,
men and women
sir,
carry equipment differently,
lastly,
a 155 round
lastly,
differently,
sir,
a rucksack differently,
reclaiming
a 240
my
Bravo
time,
machine gun
I asked
differently.
about missiles
There are
and drones.
different-
It is the gentlelady's time.
Between men and
Reclaiming
women.
my time,
Let's pause.
sir.
It is the gentlelady's time.
Would it be fair, finally, to say that both men and women are capable of piloting a jet or a helicopter to combat people and to cause death as a consequence?
A lot of wonderful female
Yes
pilots.
or no? So while I agree with you that physical fitness, as you were mentioning, is a very strong and important component of lethality, the warfighter that you have written about in your books and talked about on various podcasts is but a very, very small piece of the overall lethality picture. In fact, we estimate only about 10% of our military personnel are directly involved in the kind of combat that you're referring to. Rather, 90%, that's the math, of our troops are doing other jobs that support and enable those 10%. So to put it simply, lethality cannot be measured solely by the damage that a 6'3", 225-pound Christian male with a rifle can do to the enemy anymore. Sure, I agree he's part of that solution, but it is an incomplete and at best very dangerous and very homogeneous description of that. Lethality is equal parts technical skills, tactical experience, cognitive problem solving, and physical fitness. It's not about one person, but it's about many. It's not about blue or red. It's not about liberal or conservative, Christian, Jewish, or agnostic. It's not about North and South. Here are some statements that you have said previously about women in service. This is 2024, sir, not when you were a 19-year-old. You have said that women are life givers, that dads push us to take risks, and that moms put the training wheels on our bikes, that we need moms, but not in the military. Secondly, you have said, I am straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, and it hasn't made us more lethal. With what's left of my time, sir, I will say to you that women have served our country for 200 plus years in our militaries and in service and protection of our nation. They are watching you, what you do and what you say, and we deserve better from you. Women can and do serve with lethality today. We can and do all of the jobs that are required of us. Yes or no, do you believe military women should be in all roles in the military?
Women have joined
Yes
our
or
military
no, sir?
in record numbers
Should
under this
women
administration.
be in all roles in the military?
Standards should be high and equal for
Yes
all
or
positions.
no, sir? We agree. Should they
Standards-
be in all roles in
So
the military?
my job is that
yes
10%
or no?
stays as sharp as
Reclaiming my
possible.
time.
Standards should be high and equal.
Reclaiming my time. Will you agree that women should be able to perform in all combat roles, assuming they meet the standards?
Gentlelady's time's expired.
It's all about standards.
Before we move to
Disappoint-
The debate over women in the military has raged for decades. But when you strip away the noise, it boils down to a simple principle. If women meet the same rigorous standards as men, there should be no barrier to their service in any role. That's the foundation of fairness in a professional fighting force. And yet, every time this issue comes up, it gets bogged down in the so-called details of implementation, where critics use logistical caveats to mask something far deeper, bias, that has nothing to do with evidence and everything to do with outdated assumptions. Opponents often claim their hesitation comes from concerns about unit cohesion, training requirements, or physical benchmarks. But let's be honest, these same arguments were once used to block African Americans from serving equally in the ranks, to resist the integration of LGBTQ service members, and even to prevent women from voting or holding office. Over time, the evidence has consistently disproven those fears. Women have already demonstrated effectiveness in combat zones, in command positions, and in some of the most technically demanding roles across the armed services. When a female pilot flies combat missions, or when a female commander leads troops, successfully in battle, the reality is undeniable. The question is no longer about capability. It's about willingness, whether military leadership is prepared to dismantle the institutional barriers that still exist, or whether they prefer to hide behind endless debate. Because the disagreement isn't really about standards. Everyone agrees that standards must remain high. The real divide is whether equality in uniform is treated as a genuine priority or as an abstract ideal to be kicked down the road, delayed by excuses dressed up as policy nuance. And here's where it gets even more revealing. When top defense, leaders hedge their words, when they treat women's combat capability as something that requires context, while men's capability is taken for granted, it exposes the bias in their worldview. It sends a message, intentional or not, that women's service is conditional, secondary, or somehow less real. That's not just semantics. That's about respect. Respect for the sacrifices of all who serve, and respect for the reality of modern warfare, where women have already proven themselves under fire? The battlefield has already answered this question. The only people still struggling with it are those clinging to outdated notions of gender and tradition. And that gap between reality and rhetoric is exactly what leaders like Congresswoman Chrissy Houlahan highlight when they confront figures like Secretary Hegseth. Her rebuke wasn't just a political soundbite, it was rooted in lived experience, in generational service, and in the credibility of someone who knows what it means to wear the uniform. So when you hear this debate framed as complicated, remember, it's only complicated if you're unwilling to accept equality as a principle worth defending. Women have already proven their place. The only question left is whether the nation's leaders will acknowledge that reality or continue pretending it's up for debate. But now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the military still treats women's service as conditional? Or has the reality on the battlefield already put this debate to rest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be checking them out. And if you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the next video takes on an even more controversial clash you definitely won't want to miss.